Ever wondered why good people do bad things? Welcome to the exploration of the Lucifer Effect, a psychological phenomenon that illuminates how ordinary individuals can turn into agents of evil. This effect unveils the potent role of environmental and psychological pressures in transforming benign human nature into something quite sinister. As we peel back the layers of normality, we'll discover how easily the human psyche can be swayed under certain conditions. So prepare to unravel some of the darkest aspects of human behavior. Let's dive deep into the shadows of human psychology. Imagine volunteering for a study and finding yourself in a mock prison. This was the reality for participants in the Stanford Prison Experiment, a study conducted in 1971 by psychologist Philip Zimbardo. The aim was simple: understand the psychological effects of perceived power, focusing on the struggle between prisoners and prison guards. In an eerily short time, participants absorbed their roles with a chilling zeal. Guards with no prior disposition to cruelty began to exhibit authoritarian behaviors, imposing psychological torment on the prisoners. Meanwhile, the prisoners, stripped of personal identity and dressed identically, started to show signs of extreme stress and helplessness. What began as a planned 2-week investigation into human behavior was cut short after only 6 days due to the alarming psychological transformation observed. The boundary between role-playing and identity blurred, revealing a dark side of human nature triggered by situational forces. A perfect storm of power and dehumanization showcased the Lucifer Effect in full color. Is our behavior dictated by our surroundings? Imagine walking into a room where everyone is staring intently at a blank screen. There's a high chance you'd glance at it too, perhaps even begin to find it intriguing. This simple scenario illustrates how easily our actions can be swayed by the environment. From crowded elevators to chaotic riots, the setting we're in can sometimes pull the strings of our behavior more forcefully than our own willpower. Context isn't just background, it can be the director of our actions. When do people stop seeing others as human? Dehumanization, a slippery descent into darkness, often begins subtly. It's like boiling a frog. The temperature rises so gradually, the frog doesn't realize it's in danger until it's too late. Historical atrocities from the Holocaust to Rwanda showcase this gradual erosion of empathy. Social psychology explains this as a defense mechanism, making it easier to inflict suffering when one sees the victim as less than human. Stripping humanity makes the unthinkable possible. Would you harm someone just because you were ordered to? This unsettling question was put to the test in the 1960s by psychologist Stanley Milgram in what has become known as the Milgram Experiment. Participants were told they were part of a learning experiment where they had to administer electric shocks to a learner every time an incorrect answer was given. The shocks increased in intensity with each mistake. What the participants didn't know was that the learner was an actor and no real shocks were being administered. Despite this, as the authority figure in a lab coat insisted, many participants continued to administer what they believed were increasingly painful shocks. Astonishingly, 65% of them delivered the maximum voltage. This experiment peeled back the layers of human psychology, revealing an ingrained obedience to authority that can override our moral compass. It's a profound reminder of the potential for authority to be misused and the importance of questioning orders. The shock of obedience can be more powerful than you think. Scene script: ever found yourself doing something in a group that you would never do alone? When submerged in a sea of faces, individual responsibility seems to dilute as the crowd's influence swells. Consider the chaos in riots or the silent compliance in corporate scandals, each person influenced subtly by the surge of collective emotion. It's a curious phenomenon, isn't it? How the presence of others can transform our moral compass, nudging us to act in ways we might later scarcely believe. In a group, the individual's voice often whispers, while the crowd's voice screams. How does a good person turn bad? Picture this. A well-intentioned individual steps onto the slippery slope with a minor unethical decision. As they continue, each step seems less significant compared to the last, easing the descent into darker actions. It's like walking down a staircase where each step is shrouded in a bit more shadow than the one before. Before long, they find themselves in a place morally unrecognizable from where they started. Each small step on this slope can lead to a moral avalanche. What does it take to resist the pull of the majority? Imagine standing in a crowd where everyone is stepping left, but you feel the right path is the other way. This is the essence of resisting conformity. Take Rosa Parks, for instance. In an era where segregation was the norm, her decision to remain seated was not just about refusing to stand. It was a profound act of defiance against a deeply ingrained system of discrimination. It takes just one strong will to turn the tide. Can understanding evil help prevent it? The Stanford Prison Experiment, a landmark in psychological studies, opened a Pandora's box of ethical dilemmas. It challenged our understanding of authority and personal morality, pushing participants to the edge of their ethical limits. This exploration raises a crucial question: where should we draw the line in the pursuit of knowledge? Such studies teach us about the dark potentials within us all, but they also demand a high ethical standard to safeguard human dignity. With great knowledge comes great responsibility. From theory to reality, how does the Lucifer effect play out in everyday life? Let's explore the corridors of power where the principles of the Lucifer effect are not just academic musings but lived experiences. Take the corporate world, for example. Environments that foster cutthroat competition and high stakes often see ethical boundaries blurred or completely erased. It's where the pressure to meet targets can turn the well-intentioned manager into a manipulator of numbers and people. Moving to the political arena, the effect is glaringly evident. Leaders, once champions of the public good, may succumb to the intoxicating influence of power, leading to decisions that serve self-interest over societal benefit. It's a classic case of situational ethics, where the end justifies the means, often at a high moral cost. In law enforcement, the consequences of dehumanization become starkly visible. Officers operating under the immense stress and the us versus them mentality can sometimes lead to tragic outcomes, highlighting the critical need for ethical training and accountability. The lines between the laboratory and the real world blur more than we realize. Does culture shape our susceptibility to evil? The threads of our cultural fabric are intricately woven with norms and values that subtly dictate our behavior. In some cultures, authority is revered, possibly amplifying phenomena like the Lucifer effect, where power corrupts. Conversely, societies that prize individualism might resist such influences differently. Consider Japan, where collective responsibility is a cornerstone against the rugged individualism celebrated in the United States. These cultural backdrops can dramatically sway our ethical compass. Our cultural canvas paints us in ways we might not see. If you're intrigued by the depths of human nature, don't just sit there. Engage with us. Hit like, subscribe, and drop your insights or personal journeys in the comments below. How has the Lucifer effect touched your life or thoughts? Join our community and dive deeper into understanding ourselves. How do we stop ourselves from crossing over to the dark side? It begins with understanding that each of us holds the potential for both good and evil. Implementing regular ethical training and promoting awareness in institutions can serve as a bulwark against the seductive pull of corruptive powers. Encouraging open conversations about ethical dilemmas and fostering environments where questioning authority is not just accepted but encouraged can significantly mitigate risks. Remember, the journey from hero to villain is often a series of small, unnoticeable steps. Awareness is the first step towards prevention. It's time for a personal audit. Let's pause and peer into the looking glass of our own behaviors and motivations. How often do we slide, albeit unknowingly, down our own slippery slopes? Understanding the Lucifer effect isn't just an academic exercise, it's a mirror held up to our inner complexities. By fostering self-awareness, we can spot the seeds of malevolence in their infancy and choose a different path. Remember, the toughest battles often take place within. Understanding our dark side isn't just about prevention, it's about growth. As we've explored the depths of human behavior, from the Stanford Prison Experiment to the Milgram Experiment, we've seen how easily the lines between good and evil can blur. Acknowledging our potential for darkness helps us foster a more compassionate understanding of others and ourselves. It's in recognizing these shadows within that we can truly aspire to light. In the interplay of light and shadow, true self-understanding lies. As we part ways, remember that the journey into understanding the darkest corners of human behavior is both challenging and essential. Delve deeper, question often, and embrace the complexity of human nature. Keep exploring, for the mystery of human nature is never fully solved.
Savored this video? Fancy another? Click the on-screen video for an even deeper dive into fresh territory. Your support is like a warm cuppa on a brisk day. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe, ring that bell for the latest content. Cheers for watching.